Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dork side. I am the Dork in the road, and right now I'm on a demo ride at Power Motorsports in Staten, Oregon. I'm on the KLX300SM. Unfortunately, they do not have the KLX300 available, but I wanted to ride the SM anyway, so this will be a test ride first impressions video of both the KLX300 and of a supermoto, because this is the first supermoto I've ever ridden. As soon as I swung my leg over, two things jumped out to me. It's narrow. It's very, very narrow between the legs, which of course I'm not used to. Read into that what you will. And it's really easy to get your feet down. I am flat-footed, and remember, I am 5'10" with a 30-inch inseam, and I can get my heels down on the ground on this bike with the suspension sag. It feels narrower and more nimble already than my CRF 250L that I had, or the DRZ400 I'm currently riding. The dash is got a lot of information, but it's basic. Pretty surprised to find there's no fuel gauge on this bike on a modern dual sport like this. Oh yeah, so power-wise, you can definitely feel the difference between my old 250 and this bike. For sure, it's definitely got more pull. It does not feel like my DRZ. There is an immediate difference, a noticeable difference between those two, which was something I've been wondering about. Just for informational purposes, the KLX300 is the first bike that's come out since I got my DRZ that's made me think, maybe that might be a better bike for me than the DRZ. I like the fuel injection, I like the adjustable suspension that it has, I like the more modern features that obviously the DRZ does not have. So I've been really interested in these bikes, and of the two, the KLX and the CRF 300L, I like the KLX better because of the adjustable suspension and the extra pieces that you get from that. What's up, buddies? Seating position is about standard for a dual sport, nothing surprising here. The seat is about as comfortable as a standard dual sport, also nothing surprising there, and that is to say it is plywood-like, and I wouldn't want to sit on it for a long time. The mirrors seem actually useful, like they're in an actual useful position. They're farther out than other stock mirrors on dual sports I've ridden, so you gotta like that. The display, like I said, is basic, but it's got a tach, it's got a clock, it's got the odometer. That tach is nice to have. My old CRF did not have it. Hoping you can hear me okay, because I made some adjustments to my microphone setup. There's some really good routes out here at Power Motorsports. One of the biggest Kawasaki dealers in the country, and they have, it's great test ride country out here because they're right on the edge of this super open area, so it's really neat. Obviously I'm not going to be able to like take this bike off-road or do anything along those lines, but I'll get a real good sense of what the highway performance is like on this supermoto with the 300 engine, see how it keeps up. I bet it's fine, otherwise they wouldn't have it on this demo tour. Pretty disappointed. I was hoping to get to ride it versus 300 today, but they don't have one. Sucks. Alright, so no problems getting up to highway speed. Now I'm in 6th gear. So I was at highway speed in 3rd gear. Obviously it doesn't have a ton of pull in 6th, but it has some. I'd really like to get up to 70 or so, but I don't think that's going to happen on this ride. I'm really excited to try out the cornering and see how it feels compared to my dual sports and I run pretty knobby tires on my dual sports. I've got Trackmasters on my DRZ. I had the D606 and the Pirelli MT21 on my CRF. And so the supermoto tires, it's a whole new ball game for me. So it's pretty exciting to be out on the supermoto. Pretty exciting to get a chance to ride the KLX300. Super cool bike that I've been interested in. None of this is surprising, but it's just got a little bit more than what I would have expected from my CRF, where the CRF would start running out of power in the power band. You can keep twisting and get a little bit more from this 300, which honestly might be the sweet spot, because that 250L always really struggled. So 250 power with the 19 horsepower, but just a few extra horsepower, a bit more power like this is actually really nice if you plan on actually riding your dual sport or your supermoto on the highway at all. I think the 300, that was a good move to upgrade to it, and I think if you're trying to debate between the two, it really feels like that 300 extra power is worth it. I mean, assuming you're willing to buy a new bike, because there's a lot of used 250s out there, but obviously it's usable and noticeable, and I would like to have the extra power if I were picking between the old 250 or this 300. I'm impressed with the Kawasaki Demo Days setup. They've got way more stuff than I've seen from any of the demo days I've been to, like there's an Xbox setup, and they've got misting fans, and they've got a cooler with drinks they're handing out. So if you get a chance to check out the Good Times Tour from Kawasaki, I'd recommend it. And I got a bunch of bikes, but not much off-road stuff, so they don't. The KLX300 is out of commission. Look at this. I'm going 70, no problem on this thing. So freeway speeds, I think it'd do it. I wouldn't want to do it all day. It's not what I would call like raring for more, but it's got enough to make it happen. Yeah, I mean, that was 70 miles an hour right there on this 300. I'm impressed with the power. There is a big difference at these higher speeds, at these highway speeds, and that is the Achilles heel of these little dual sports. Is they're great in the woods, they're fun on the trails, they have all of that, but if you want to go anywhere on the highway, it is uncomfortable at best, and at times incapable, depending on what you're doing. Like, you don't really want to be in third gear doing 40 miles an hour going up hills, you know, on the highway and the freeway. And I really just feel like this bike has a little bit more speed, a little bit more power, just enough to overcome that objection and make it a decent all-around bike, so long as you know what you're getting yourself into. It's not super buzzy or vibrating. I mean, not even in 6th gear. There we go. It feels good out here, man. I'm impressed with it. I like it. I gotta tell you, the big question on my mind was, though, is it enough power for me to reconsider my DRZ? So if you're a DRZ owner thinking, man, it might be nice to have that fuel injection, and, you know, maybe the power difference is not that noticeable, because that was something that I have wondered about. I will tell you, the power difference is noticeable. It's pretty similar up to a point, but that DRZ, man, you can twist the throttle and just keep going forever, and it just seems like it's always got more power and torque. This one, there's definitely an upper limit that the DRZ doesn't have. Again, not earth-shattering. Oh, supermoto cornering is fun, dude. I would really love to hit these corners faster than this and see, because damn. So supermoto wise, the biggest, most obvious difference between a dual sport and this supermoto is tires, and you notice that most readily when you lean into a corner. I feel like with a dual sport tire, with a more squared off off-road tire, there's a point you lean to, and then it's sort of like you fall off a cliff, and it's not that, like, there's a definite break point where it's smooth, and then it isn't, right? And it's really hard to get over on the edge of that tire. But this thing, man, dragging me is possible. I'm not the guy to do it. You guys know that if you've watched my channel, but definitely feel like there's no like awkward limit to the cornering like I do on the road with my dual sports. And keep in mind, I run real chunky tires on my dual sports. I don't ride them on the highway much. Not why I got them. This bike would be a super fun if you lived in a city and you needed to hit a crosstown freeway from time to time, but you were trying to get to work or get, you know, downtown or whatever, because parking it's super easy, super nimble. It's light and easy to move around. This bike feels very, very light underneath me. More light than any of the 250s I've ridden. It really feels light and flickable in an impressive way. Definitely perfectly functional right out of the box. And of course, if you're buying a bike, you're going to add a bunch of mods. Oh crap, check out my favorite dual sport mods video if you want to know what kind of mods I'm talking about. I'll link that for you. Assuming you can hear me in this wind, which is pretty loud when you're wearing a dual sport helmet. This is the exact same route we did when I came and demoed Yamahas here. Yamaha would not let me wear my camera, so Kawasaki's awesome, Yamaha sucks, just throwing it out there. Unless they want to send me a T7 to ride, and then Yamaha's awesome. They can make it up to me by sending me a T7. The bar position, it's really well set up for riding sitting down. I'm about average height, and the handlebars are in a very comfortable position for me, not too far forward, not too far back, which leads me to believe that if I were to stand up, they wouldn't be high enough, so you'd want bar risers. The brakes feel fine, they feel solid. This one doesn't have ABS, but you don't want that in a bike you might take off the pavement anyway, or at least you want to be able to turn it off. Oh yeah, oh, it pulls right up this hill like nothing. No, it feels good. The power is good. Power is impressive. I feel like it's a real sweet spot. Again, it's that unintimidating. It's not intimidating. It's not going to surprise you. It's not going to scare you. It's a 300, right? But you've got power when you need it. When you need to twist the throttle and get a little more, it's got it. The engine sounds kind of anemic. I think you'd want an exhaust if you were going to run this as a supermoto. Oh yeah, the cornering is nice, dude. It's nice. And look at this view. Not terrible, huh? Not terrible. But I could see riding this thing all day, maybe with a seat concept seat. But I wouldn't be afraid to take it, particularly around town, like I was saying, is your in-town commuter type bike. But I don't know if it's your long road trip, like I'm doing 600 miles in a day going across the country kind of thing, 70 miles an hour. It's got some pull in sixth. That is a game changer if you're riding on the highway at all. That is so nice to have. So nice to have. And a big improvement over the 250s. Downshift, shifting is smooth, easy peasy, no big deal at all. Goes right in, clutch is smooth. I mean, it's a brand new bike. It's got 2,000 hard miles on it actually, because it's just these short rides, but it's in pretty good shape. Yeah, the seat is definitely already becoming uncomfortable, so I always recommend on a supermoto or a dual sport bike a seat concept seat, or at least that Mad Dog pad that I made a video about. You know, a $20 upgrade that's going to make it a little wider and a little more comfortable. So you definitely want that on this. I'll link that video for you too, right there. But overall, I'm impressed with this thing as a first motorcycle, as a first dual sport, because they also make the 230, and the 230 I feel like is definitely targeted at new riders, but I don't think you need the 230. I kind of almost wonder why they have both, when a brand new rider, unless they were super intimidated by the seat height, could handle this KLX really easily. It's not scary power, it's not surprise you power. It rides smooth, it's easy to handle, it's super light and easy to move around, which is something that I know new riders are concerned with. So I think it's a great bike for a new rider. I always talk about why I think dual sports are the best first bikes, and if you're not going to get out into the woods, then a supermoto might be the best first bike, because all the things I just mentioned, extra capable, you know, if you need to cut across the gravel road or you want to jump off curbs or whatever, you can, because you've got that extra suspension travel. They're just fun as hell to ride. You can lean for days. It's just easy to ride, easy to handle, easy to maneuver. All the things that new riders are afraid of, this bike, or a bike like it, makes easier. So overall impressions, I'm impressed with this bike. It's definitely one I would consider if I were in the market for a 250-300 level dual sport, for sure. And I haven't ridden a Honda, but this one's my front runner. If I had to pick between the two, this one was going to be my choice anyway, and there's nothing that's happened on this ride that's made me reconsider that. So it would still be my first choice if you're trying to pick between the two. Right now I like the KLX, and it hasn't done anything to make me not like that. I think it's a beginner friendly bike. I think it has a ton of potential. With some mods, you could do a lot to a bike like this, both the KLX and the supermoto. But is it an upgrade from the DRZ? No. Does it make me want to get rid of my DRZ and get one of these? Not really, unless the carburetor starts giving me a bunch of crap, because the DRZ has more power and is just as fun or more fun to ride. I already have one. It's just as capable. It's got the adjustable suspension and all that. So if you really want modern features, you want the peace of mind that comes with fuel injection and all that, and you're trying to pick between the DRZ and a KLX, then get the KLX. The difference is not so massive that if I had the KLX I would feel like I needed the DRZ. How about that? But it's not better enough that I would want to downgrade or, you know, trade in my DRZ. So I don't think one is going to convince you to leave the other either way. So if you buy a KLX and you ride a DRZ, you're going to be like, it's a little better, but I don't need a DRZ. If you own a DRZ and ride the KLX like me, you're not going to be like, oh, I got to sell my DRZ tomorrow. Let's get a pull in. Yeah. Oh yeah, she'll go. It's enough power to be fun. There's nothing boring about that. Manageable but fun, not boring power. Not bad at all. Well done, Kawasaki. This was the update that the dual sport community needed. That we just haven't had a modern, upgraded dual sport in a long time. I think what was it? WR was the last one, and so these KLX is a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, super capable, but still simple and easy to ride. I'm impressed with it. So it's a good bike overall. If you're considering the KLX300, either the supermoto or the regular, I would encourage you to go give it a test ride and pick one up if you can find it. I think it's a great bike. I don't know if I'd give it my DRZ for it, although if they asked me if I wanted to trade straight across, I'd consider it. How about that? That's kind of telling. So we're going to get on the highway here, so if you have any questions about the KLX that I can answer for my limited time with it, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I appreciate you watching. In fact, there's a channel viewer right up here in front of us who I met today at this ride, so nice to meet you, man. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!
There's some friendos. Holy sh**. There's a few friendos. Must be a rally. I might try to ride that Vulcan. I've always wanted to ride one. It's got the same motor as my Versus did. There's a GS. What is that guy doing in that crowd? Awesome. Go, baby! Yeah! Supermoto! Oh yeah, no problem, dude. 72. People always ask if they'll do 70. This thing will probably do 80 easy.